You are standing in a jet bridge and you are not moving. Somewhere ahead of you, one person is wrestling a bag into a bin and 40 people are watching them do it. You paid for this, not the flight, the standing. In January, Southwest Airlines ended 54 years of simply letting people walk onto the plane. They replaced it with 8 numbered boarding groups and a product you can buy to skip them. Boarding groups make boarding slower. That is not a theory. It was measured on a real aircraft with real luggage back in 2011. Every airline could have read the paper. Some of them did. They added more groups anyway, because the line is not a problem they failed to solve. The line is the thing they sell. Start with the part everybody gets wrong. You have probably been told that boarding is slow because of the seat shuffle. That awkward dance where you are in the aisle seat, someone has the window, and now 3 people are standing in the aisle doing a polite little tango while the entire plane waits. It feels like the problem. It is not the problem. When researchers actually timed this, seat shuffles turned out to be a rounding error next to one thing: bags. A bag stow is a full stop. When somebody halts under an open bin, lifts a roller bag over their head, rotates it, discovers it does not fit that way, rotates it again, and then remembers their laptop is inside it. The entire queue behind them stops, not slows, stops. Everyone on the plane, everyone in the jet bridge, and everyone still in the terminal is now waiting on one pair of arms. That is the unit of measurement here. Not passengers, not rows, bag stows. The opposite of a full stop is 2 people stowing at the same time, in different parts of the cabin, neither one aware the other exists. 2 bags, 1 span of seconds. Do that often enough and boarding time falls off a cliff because you are no longer paying for those seconds one at a time. So the entire question of how to board a plane collapses into a single simpler question. How do you get as many bag stows as possible to happen at once? And that has a real answer from a real experiment. In 2011, an astrophysicist named Jason Steffen, then at Fermilab, teamed up with a television producer named John Hotchkiss. They rented a mock Boeing 757 cabin on a soundstage in Southern California, 12 rows, 6 seats across, 1 aisle, 72 volunteers ranging from children to seniors, most of them carrying real luggage, enough that the overhead bins were full by the end of every run. Then they boarded that cabin 5 different ways and timed it with a stopwatch. Here is the leaderboard. Remember these numbers because you are going to recognize one of them. Boarding in blocks of rows from the back, 6 minutes, 54 seconds. Dead last. Strict back to front, 1 row at a time, 6 minutes, 11 seconds. Barely better. Random. No groups at all. Everyone walks on in whatever order they show up. About 5 minutes, window seats, then middle seats, then aisle seats, about 4 minutes. And the fastest method they tested, the one that now carries Steffen's name, 3 minutes, 36 seconds. Sit with that spread for a second. The worst method took nearly twice as long as the best one. Same cabin, same people, same bags. The only variable was the order you let them through the door. And look where random landed. Doing nothing and imposing no order, running no groups, making no announcements, beat both of the organized back-to-front methods by more than a minute. That is the part that should bother you. Not that airlines picked a slow method, that they picked a method slower than not trying. Now let us go the other direction because it is genuinely instructive. Suppose you wanted to make boarding as slow as physically possible, not by breaking rules, not by delaying the plane, just by choosing the order. You would start at the front of the aircraft and work backward. Every person who boards has to walk past every person still stowing, so nobody can work in parallel. You would seat people from the aisle inward so that every single row produces a full seat shuffle, and every shuffle spills bodies into the only corridor on the aircraft. And you would slice the passengers into as many tiny groups as possible so that each little cluster gets to finish stowing before the next cluster is allowed to start. Maximum full stops, minimum overlap, front to back, aisle to window, many small groups. Now hold that design next to what happened the last time you flew. First class boards first, at the front, then the premium cabin, just behind them, then a numbered ladder of loyalty tiers, each one a small group, each one released only after the last one has cleared. The first several minutes of nearly every commercial boarding process on Earth is a near-perfect implementation of the slowest system you could design on purpose. Nobody sat in a room and chose that. That is the point. It is what you get when the order is decided by who paid the most rather than by how a corridor works. Which brings us back to Southwest and to the strangest airline decision of this decade. For 54 years, Southwest ran open seating. No assigned seats. You got a boarding position, you walked on, you sat wherever you liked. Chaotic, mildly undignified, and, by the stopwatch, faster than the tidy, back-to-front systems everybody else was running. On January 27, 2026, they killed it. Now, every passenger gets an assigned seat. Now there are 8 boarding groups. Groups 1 and 2 are extra legroom seats and top-tier loyalty members. Groups 3 through 5 are preferred seats, mid-tier status, and credit card holders. Groups 6 through 8 are everyone else, with the cheapest fare class boarding dead last. And the old products that used to let you buy your way up the queue were retired and replaced with a new one. Priority boarding, purchasable in the 24 hours before your flight, price calculated per flight, availability limited. So look at what actually changed. Before, the fast method was free and slightly humiliating. Now, the slow method is standard and the fast position is a line item. To be fair to the operations people, Southwest did not simply reinvent the worst possible system. Inside those groups, they are running window seats, then middles, then aisles, working from the back of the plane forward, which is, by the numbers, the second fastest method anybody has ever tested. That is the interesting tension. Underneath the fee structure, there are engineers who read the research. They know window, middle, aisle is faster. United switched their economy cabin to exactly that in October 2023 and reported saving about 2 minutes per flight. 2 minutes sounds like nothing. Ground time for a large airline runs on the order of $100 per minute. Multiply 2 minutes by a few thousand departures a day, every day for years, and the reason an airline cares becomes very clear. They care about minutes. They just care about the fee more. Here's the part where I have to defend you, because the popular version of this story blames passengers, and the popular version is wrong. Yes, there is always one person with 3 bags who believes the rules are a suggestion. But the reason the overhead bins are a war zone is not that people got worse. It is that people were given an incentive. Checked bag fees in the United States hit a record $7.25 billion in 2024, according to the Bureau of Transportation Statistics. Zoom out globally and airline ancillary revenue, bags, seat selection, priority boarding, all the things that used to be included in a ticket, reached about $157 billion in 2025. That is roughly $1 in every 6 the industry takes in, up from about 9% of revenue 10 years ago. Charge people to check a bag and they will carry it on. Restrict what is allowed in a checked bag, lithium batteries, laptops, medication. And even the people trying to comply end up hauling a dense, awkward backpack down the aisle. So the bins fill up, bag stows multiply, boarding slows down, and the slower boarding gets, the more valuable it becomes to sell away to the front of the line. That is not a conspiracy. Nobody needs a conspiracy. It is just a system where the thing that annoys you and the thing that pays them are the same thing, so nothing corrects itself. Now, the science did not stop in 2011, and this is where it gets genuinely strange. A group of researchers, Sveinung Erlend in Norway, Eitan Bachmat in Israel, and their collaborators went after the boarding problem with the mathematics of space-time geometry, not as a joke. Passengers moving down an aisle and blocking each other turn out to behave like particles in a Lorentzian geometry, and once you see it that way, you can actually solve for the optimum. What they found reverses the intuition of every gate agent alive. Split passengers into 2 groups, slow ones, meaning the people with the most bags to put in the bins, and fast ones, meaning the people with nothing but a backpack going under the seat. Board the slow ones first. It sounds insane. It is faster, universally faster in their analysis, up to 28% faster than boarding the fast group first, and around 8% faster than pure random boarding using real-world luggage data. Published in Physical Review E, then extended in the European Journal of Operational Research, the more bin luggage you have, the earlier you should be in the queue. The mechanism is almost obvious once you hear it. Put the slow people in first, and they spread out down the length of the plane, stowing in parallel while the aisle is still empty. The fast people who need 2 seconds each then flow in behind them and catch up. Put the fast people in first, and they hit their seats immediately, then stand around while a wall of luggage grinds forward behind them, one full stop at a time. Which means every priority boarding queue on Earth is running backwards. The passengers who board first are, on average, the ones with status, with premium fares, with roller bags, and business luggage. The passengers who board last are on basic fares that punish checked bags carrying the most awkward loads into a cabin whose bins are already full. We are systematically loading the slow freight last. And yet, if any airline announced tomorrow that everyone with heavy carry-on boards first, you would be furious. So would I. There's a paper about that too, and it resolves the whole thing. Bachmat, Erlin, and colleagues surveyed 1,500 passengers across Germany, Israel, and the United States, and then proved something uncomfortable. Total boarding time and your personal waiting time are optimized by opposite policies. Board the slow group first, and the plane fills fastest. But your average individual wait, the time you personally spend standing, holding a bag, going nowhere, is minimized by the opposite, letting the fast people on first, so the efficient plane and the pleasant experience are in direct conflict. Every time you have felt that a faster boarding process somehow felt slower, you were not imagining it. You were measuring the right thing, just not the thing the airline was measuring. The researchers' answer was to design a compromise called slow back first that gets close to both optima at once. It exists. It is published. No major carrier runs it. And that is the honest ending here, so I am not going to pretend otherwise. There is no version of this where a perfect boarding order arrives at your gate. A perfect order would separate families. It would put strangers between parents and children. It would require several hundred tired people to stand in an exact sequence at 5 in the morning after security and hold it. But notice what is being asked of you right now instead. You are not being asked to accept a messy compromise between human dignity and physics. You are being asked to accept a system that is worse than doing nothing, and then to pay to escape it. Those are not the same thing. So, 3 things you can do tomorrow, all of them free. 1. Travel with one bag that fits under the seat in front of you. Not for virtue, bro. For speed. You never stop under a bin. You never block the aisle. You are the fastest possible passenger, and you never wait for a bin to be free, because you do not need one. 2. If you have an assigned seat and no bin luggage, do not queue at all. Sit down. Let your group be called. Let the crowd compress into the jet bridge. Walk on near the end and sit down in a cabin that has already stopped moving. Your bag is under your feet either way. The only thing you lose is bin space you are not going to use. 3. Next time you fly, watch which method you are getting. If economy is going window, then middle, then aisle, someone in that airline read the research. If it is a ladder of small groups from the front, you are watching the slowest thing they could have built. And a favor, because I genuinely want to know. In the comments, tell me the worst boarding you have ever personally experienced. Airline, airport, and what exactly went wrong. If you work in a cabin or a cockpit, I especially want to hear yours because you have watched this happen 10,000 times, and the rest of us have only felt it. Because we have not even talked about the other half of this, the half where the plane lands, the seatbelt sign goes off, and everyone stands up in the aisle to wait motionless, in the least efficient formation the human body can produce. Getting off the plane is a solved problem too. Nobody solved it either.